that the Bengaluru man who posted inappropriate photographs of women metro users on Instagram has been arrested. Digant, who was running Bengaluru Metro Clicks, an account where he used to post these inappropriate pictures, has finally been arrested, and the accused had clicked several videos of women metro users, and these were inappropriate pictures that he was posting on this particular handle that you can see on your screens, and he was posting them without their consent. And he was allegedly caught taking inappropriate photographs of several young women earlier this month. He is also now being apprehended, is what we are learning, and he had in fact created an account on Instagram which was only meant to post these inappropriate pictures of the women metro users in Bengaluru. He had clicked several videos also of these women metro users, and he was posting them without their consent. But the accused, as what we are being told, his name being Digant, has been arrested. He was running a handle on Instagram named Bengaluru Metro Clicks. And this is the account that you can see on the left side of your screen, which was posting inappropriate pictures of these women users as far as Bengaluru metro users are concerned. And he was caught photographing women standing in front of the BBMP hospital or the subway, and according to the police, he was doing this for quite some time, and several women bystanders had gone on to notice this objectionable behavior. It was later found out that this man was in fact posting these inappropriate photographs, even videos which he used to record without the consent of these women metro users, and he would post them on this lewd handle that he was running on Instagram called Bangalore Metro Clicks. Harish is joining us live with more inputs. Harish, how was the Bengaluru police able to nab this man first of all?
Well, they've reached out to the platform as well, seeking help, and finally they've identified this person. This man has been identified as Digant, somebody who hails from Haveri, but said to have been in Bangalore, and he's been picked up from West Bengaluru locality, and he's been arrested by the police now. Roughly 13 different videos that he had uploaded on his page. Now the police will go through the devices that he owns to understand if there were other accounts that he was operating and for how long this was happening, and try and understand his entire modus operandi. That's what the investigation will focus on right now. At the same time, this is a wake-up call for the Bangalore Metro as well as the Bengaluru police, because Bangalore Metro is a highly secure area with end-to-end CCTV coverage. How did this man manage to click so many videos, shoot so many videos and then upload? And the fact that Bengaluru police have always said that they keep a very close eye on what gets posted on social media, and this evaded their scrutiny despite having 5,000 odd people following it and many of them sharing it. That's also something that the police will have to think now.
And this seems to have become a regular fixture. It's not just this particular man. In fact, in the first week of May, a similar incident was reported from Town Hall in Bengaluru. So what are authorities planning to do when it comes to this kind of objectionable behavior and women being victimized by such kind of voyeuristic men?
Well, the Bengaluru police have constantly maintained that they encourage people to report such behavior to the nearest station. But the problem is, as it's very evident in some of these videos that this man has put out, in most cases, women are not even aware that they're being videographed at public places, whether it's metro or anywhere else. And that's where perhaps the monitoring mechanisms that are in place either by the police or by the metro needs to come in to ensure that people who are clicking such videos do not get away. One, they do not get to click these videos. Second, when somebody posts it online or shares it with somebody else, that is something that can be tracked down. Remember, even in this case, it's taken a couple of days for the Bengaluru police to track down who this man is and arrest him. And perhaps now there will have to be a better monitoring mechanism as well to understand what kind of content is shot in public places and uploaded.
All right, going to request you, Harish, to continue staying with us. We're getting in some more breaking inputs coming in from Karnataka. This is with regards to the gang rape accused in the 2024 Hanagal gang rape case, who was recently granted bail, took out a victory parade in the town, triggering massive outrage, and rightly so. Following their release, the accused held a celebratory roadshow, which has now led to this outrage in Akkialur with multiple bikes and cars. The video has now gone viral on social media, drawing widespread condemnation. 5 persons have now been arrested for taking out this victory procession. The police have approached the court seeking cancellation of this person's bail. Let's quickly go back to Harish, who continues to stay with us. Harish, that also begs the question, what explains the court's decision to grant him a bail in the first place?
Well, unfortunately, what we understand is that the victim in this case couldn't positively identify some of these accused, whether she was under pressure or whether there was something else. That seems to have given a bit of a leeway for the court to grant these people bail. They've been arrested behind bars for more than a year now. And because there was error, or at least there has been some bit of lapse in identification of these accused, they had managed to get bail. The others too had already got bail, but these are the top prime suspects in this case, accused in this case, who were arrested. What we do know now is that after there was a huge outrage over the authorities allowing these 7 to take out a victory parade, not anywhere else, right from the sub-jail premises across the town there. We understand this video has gone viral, and people have expressed their ire. And after that, we do know now that at least 5 have been arrested. There has been a rowdy sheeter opened against all the 7 in this case who've taken out this victory parade. And the police have already approached the Sessions Court seeking cancellation of bail, saying that all these 7 who were given conditional bail have violated those conditions, and that bail needs to be cancelled.
All right, many thanks to you, Harish, for bringing us all those inputs. In fact, we are getting in some breaking inputs from the United States. This is with regards to Donald Trump issuing a new threat to Apple, as President Trump has now said that Apple should face a minimum of 25% tariffs on iPhones made outside the United States. And clearly that's a direct threat to Apple's manufacturing plans in India, as we all know. And Donald Trump now coming up with a fresh threat of slapping 25% tariffs as far as iPhones made outside the US are concerned. Pallavi Ghosh joins me with more inputs on that news story. Pallavi, take us through what this could mean for Apple's plans in India.
Well, this would be certainly seen as a bit of a setback, because the entire idea of opening Apple plants over here is that you would get state-of-the-art iPhones which are manufactured in India, which their production has already begun, and which obviously, one, it also goes and shows the confidence of multinational companies into India and investing over here and opening shop over here. And second, there was a belief that it would also mean that products would become much, much cheaper. Now, recently, when Donald Trump had told Tim Cook that you cannot open Apple plants in India, the government sources, Commerce Ministry sources, had also pointed out to say that politicians often don't dictate to the businessmen, and businessmen don't really need to listen to them. And India was very confident that, Tim Cook would not change his mind. Now, this latest comment coming in from the American president will certainly be seen as a setback. We'll have to wait to see if any structured response comes in from the government. But essentially what it would mean is that if you and I want to buy a phone which is manufactured over here in India, it is going to end up being much more expensive, which is going to be seen as the end of this investment.
So, Pallavi, what does this mean in the current, trade scenario where, remember, Apple is positioning India as an alternative to China, and we know how Donald Trump is currently threatened by China's manufacturing. But what does that mean for India, and does that also mean that one is now looking at higher iPhone rates? All right, we seem to have lost Pallavi, but as we were highlighting, Apple is, of course, positioning India as an alternative manufacturing base, and Donald Trump's tariffs on China have already raised supply chain concerns and fears of iPhone prices rising higher. And Pallavi is back with us. Let me take that with her. Pallavi, as we were saying, that Apple is one company that's positioning India as an alternative manufacturing base to China. What does that now mean in the overall calculus, the trade calculus? Does that mean that Donald Trump is also equating India with China?
You know what happened is that many of the Apple plants from China were shutting shop and they were shifting the base into India or looking at India as an alternative market. And obviously, we were very comfortable of this. There is a lot of as the Indian conditions are concerned, and we were obviously very upbeat about it. But now, when you're looking at a situation where, despite the fact that our Commerce Minister is over there, he's expected to come back. There are backroom negotiations. The bilateral trade talks are taking place, and now you have 25%, which is a staggering amount of tariff which is being imposed. India would obviously want to negotiate that. I'm still awaiting some kind of a structured reaction to come in from the Commerce Ministry. But it's very clear that for the American president, when it comes to doing business, China and India, to a very great extent, are put on the same plane. However, sources over here have been maintaining that tariff on China has been much, much higher, and India, in fact, has been much more of a beneficiary as far as America's trade tariff policy.
And that's true, because India sees this as its strength. And remember, Apple and India go back many years ago now. And Apple has invested billions of dollars in India. And could this now mean another setback apart from the tariffs for India, which is currently in the interim negotiations for that bilateral trade agreement?
But I think when Apple had first opened shop over here, it also, as I said, it's working out to be much cheaper. For Indians, Apple manufactured in India obviously would have worked out to be much, much cheaper, which is why there was a lot of enthusiasm over it. And there have been figures which have been put out by the Finance Ministry. We also showed a surge in sales, and especially those iPhones being manufactured right over here in India. As I said, Akansha, it also reflected a deep confidence in India that we had the capability, the credibility, and the manpower talent to manufacture the highest standards of iPhones being manufactured by Apple. This is a setback because obviously, it also means that the iPhones will become much, much more expensive. Right. 25% is not a small amount.
Right, absolutely. And we await Commerce Ministry's reaction to that. Many thanks to you, Pallavi. In fact, going to request you to continue staying with us, because our next story will also require your inputs, because in a mega exclusive, top enforcement directorate sources have told CNN News 18 that the probe in the National Herald case mentions Telangana's Chief Minister and Karnataka's Deputy CM. The ED probe has revealed that both Revanth Reddy and DK Shivkumar accommodated bogus donations to Young India. DK Shivkumar, in fact, personally donated 25 lakh rupees and 2 crore rupees to Young India through his trust. Now, on the other hand, Revanth Reddy instructed several people to donate to Young Indian, and DK Shivkumar has stated that he knows little about Young Indian's activities and made the donations on the instructions of then Congress's treasurer Pawan Bansal, adding that he only donated funds to his party's paper and there was nothing wrong with that. Karnataka CM Siddaramaiah has also defended the party, saying that there is nothing wrong in giving donations. Listen in to what the reactions have been like.
ಹೌದಪ್ಪ, ನಾವು ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಹಾಲ್ಗೆ ನಾನು 25 ಲಕ್ಷ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ, DK ಸುರೇಶ್ 25 ಲಕ್ಷ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ತಪ್ಪೇನಿದೆ? ನಮ್ಮ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ನಡೆಸುವಂಥ ಪೇಪರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಏನು ತಪ್ಪೇನಿದೆ? ಹೌದು, ನಮ್ಮ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ದರೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಏನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ? ನಾವೇನು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನಾವೇನು ಕದ್ದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವ? ರಾಜಾರಷ್ಟುವಾಗೆ ನಾವು ಸಂಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡೋಂಥ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಸ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ನಾವು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಪ್ಪ.
ದೇಣಿಗೆ ಕೊಡೋದು ತಪ್ಪ? ದೇಣಿಗೆ ಕೊಡೋದು ತಪ್ಪೇನಲ್ಲ.
In their charge sheet, the Enforcement Directorate has named Sonia Gandhi as accused number 1 and her son, the leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, as accused number 2, apart from 5 others in the prosecution complaint that has been filed under the PMLA. And the set of names that have now cropped up is going to add to newer angles in this entire story. Pallavi is back with us. Pallavi, shed more light in terms of what this could mean at a time Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi have been named as accused number 2 and number 1.
Well, I mean, it's a huge setback once again, but it's going to be construed as a kind of a nexus which is taking place as far as the Congress leaders are concerned. Now, DK Shivkumar is considered to be extremely close to the Gandhis, and Revanth Reddy, for that matter, also was handpicked by Rahul Gandhi and chosen to become the CM of Telangana. So these names also suggest a nexus, at least that's what the BJP is saying. Though, of course, the response coming in from the Congress is very simple. ED, CBI are another arm of the government. And because Rahul Gandhi asked those tough questions of the government, he doesn't fall for their lies, to use the words of the Congress party. They are once again using the ED and the CBI to target all of those who have been firebrand, who themselves take on the government and who also are big supporters of the Gandhi family.
Absolutely. And how does one prove what is being stated by the likes of DK Shivkumar, since you do not have a Ahmed Patel or a Pawan Bansal to testify?
Well, the point over here, Akanksha, is that all along the Congress has maintained that a National Herald or Young India was a no-profit, no-gain kind of an organization. It was an NGO, and therefore the funding was transparent and not a single person benefited from it. Now the question which is being asked is that 2.5 crores coming in from Revanth Reddy, crowdfunding coming in from DK Shivkumar. Where was all this money coming in from? What was the money which was being given? And what were the benefits which were being accrued to either a Revanth Reddy? Was he made a chief minister in exchange for the money that he was providing to Young India? And what was this money really used for? And how can the Congress party explain the fact that this huge amount of money was not actually being used for the personal expenditure by Sonia Gandhi as well as Rahul Gandhi? So what is happening now, the heat is on. This is a very different Congress. I've covered the earlier Congress as well. There was a system of fighting back. There was a kind of transparency which we don't see at this point of time. And for the BJP, corruption as a point against the Gandhis is always going to be a huge point that they will have against him.
What is the role that Rajiv Gambhir has played over here? Because suddenly we hear there's a lot of chatter about his name being discussed as well in the entire case.
Again, he is considered to be someone close to the Congress family, someone who has a very good connection with the Gandhis. The pictures have often been put out. The point which the BJP has been making is that all is not well. There's something which is being hidden consistently. And DK Shivkumar, who has the power, has come in from being the kind of firefighter, the troubleshooter. Revanth Reddy, also a relatively young leader. What's going to happen, Akanksha, is that at least in Karnataka Congress, I do foresee, despite a stand coming in from the Congress leadership over here, that the status quo will be maintained. But there are detractors of DK Shivkumar, they are detractors of G. Parmeshwaran. They were certainly going to use this situation to say that the status quo must be maintained. Siddaramaiah cannot be faulted. So these are the situations, the kind of threads, an nexus which is developing, and more names are really expected to come out once the ED investigation gathers steam.
Right. Stay with me, Pallavi, also joined in by Harish. Harish, what could be the implications now that these names have surfaced, primarily for DK Shivkumar and the Telangana CM Revanth Reddy, given that it's been alleged that it was on their instructions that the donations were made, along with that of late Ahmed Patel and even a Pawan Bansal?
Well, in case of DK Shivkumar, he's trying to say that the source of income was a legitimate one. But the ED perhaps will say that this was part of a larger money laundering racket. But in case of Revanth Reddy, there could be more trouble because one, the ED itself is saying that there were people who Revanth Reddy forced them to donate to this trust. Was there a quid pro quo there? Because BRS is saying that this was absolute quid pro quo and Revanth Reddy might have gone ahead and helped these people. So that opens up a lot more opportunity in terms of investigation for the ED. In the meanwhile, within the party in Telangana, we've seen several of those party men of Revanth Reddy itself saying that Revanth Reddy became the PCC chief after giving money to the Congress High Command. So there will be a bit of a opposition within the Congress in Telangana. So Revanth Reddy will have a lot more on his plate than DK Shivkumar. But for DK Shivkumar, this is the second case that he's facing. There is already an ED case and a disproportionate asset case that he's been arrested as well. So trouble for both the leaders who are seen as the future of Congress in South India especially.
Many thanks to you, Harish. Going to request Pallavi to continue staying with us as Prime Minister Narendra Modi fired a fresh warning at Pakistan, declaring that after Operation Sindoor, India's enemies now understand what happens when vermilion turns into gunpowder. The Congress, however, has slammed Prime Minister Modi's speech, calling it full of hollow filmy dialogues, while accusing him of evading serious national security questions. Gandhi is demanding clarity on whether the US played a mediation role and wants answers on why terrorists behind the Pahalgam attack remain at large. On the other hand, BJP's Nishikant Dubey in response has alleged that Congress has a Pakistani vote bank in India. Congress MP and leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi also came down heavily on Prime Minister Modi, alleging that he had compromised India's honour by agreeing to pause military action against Pakistan during the recent Operation Sindoor. Former National Security Advisor M.K. Narayanan has praised Operation Sindoor, saying that Operation Sindoor has shown that India has tremendous strength.
22 तारीख के हमले के जवाब में हमने 22 मिनट में आतंकियों के 9 सबसे बड़े ठिकाने तबाह कर दिए। दुनिया ने और देश के दुश्मनों ने भी देख लिया कि जब सिंदूर बारूद बन जाता है तो नतीजा क्या होता है। न ट्रेड होगा न टॉक। अगर बात होगी तो सिर्फ पाकिस्तान के कब्जे वाले कश्मीर की, पीओके की। पाकिस्तान को भारत के हक का पानी नहीं मिलेगा। भारतीयों के खून से खेलना पाकिस्तान को महंगा पड़ेगा।
मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे जी राहुल गांधी के इशारे पे कहते हैं ऑपरेशन सिंदूर तो छुटपुट युद्ध है, छुटपुट युद्ध। आप एक के बाद एक कांग्रेस पार्टी का अगर चरित्र देखेंगे, गैर जिम्मेदाराना रवैया देखेंगे, तो यह कहना गलत नहीं होगा कि भारत के साथ अगर कोई गद्दारी कर रहा है तो वो कांग्रेस पार्टी कर रही है, राहुल गांधी कर रहे हैं।
All right, Pallavi joins me. Pallavi, why is it not landing upon the Congress party that the government is very much, allowed to withhold information with regards to national security, especially when it comes to the National Security Act, which was very much enacted during Indira Gandhi's time?
Absolutely, and during the 26/11 terror attack as well, I mean, I remember there was a lot of demand which was coming in from the then opposition parties like the BJP, and at that point of time, the government made it very clear that there are certain sensitive material which we cannot ever have and it come out in the open. In fact, this is pretty much the logic why the government is not in favor of a special session of parliament, because they feel that because of the nature of a special session of parliament, obviously it will be one, combative in nature, second, a lot of information would be easily available because it's going to be beamed live, and can we afford to give out such kind of a sensitive information? Whatever information is required has been conveyed to the political parties, either through the 2 all-party meetings which were held earlier, or even this multi-party delegation. Like even as we speak, there is one such delegation which is meeting now inside the parliament. Vikram Misri, the foreign secretary, is also going to be debriefing them. So it's not that the political parties are not being kept in the loop. They are being shared with the evidence, the dossier which India is going to put forward, and the sequence of events and what was the action which was taken place from a point of view of the government. But the Congress's 2 points is: 1, was there indeed an American mediation? And 2, were there any Indian aircrafts which were shot down by Pakistan, and where are the missing terrorists?
Many thanks to you, Pallavi, for putting that into perspective for us. And with that, let's also listen in to some more political reactions.
ये 1991 का डॉक्यूमेंट है। जयशंकर जी उस वक्त तो कहीं ना कहीं छोटे अधिकारी रहे होंगे। सवाल ये हमारी सरकार और आपकी सरकार का नहीं है। सवाल ये है कि 1947 से पाकिस्तान को हम आतंकी राष्ट्र मानते हैं। 78 साल से कश्मीर के मुद्दे पर हमारी उनके साथ लड़ाई चल रही है। हमारे कश्मीर के हिस्से को पाकिस्तान ने अपने कब्जे में कर रखा है। उसके बाद जो आप कंसेशन देते रहे, 1950 में नेहरू लियाकत समझौता हो, 1960 का सिंधु जल समझौता हुआ, 1975 का शिमला एग्रीमेंट हुआ, और उसके बाद 1991 में तो आपने हाथ ही काट दिया। आपने तो हाथ काट के लिख दिया कि हमारी आर्मी कहां डिप्लॉय होगी, आपकी नेवी कहां डिप्लॉय होगी, आपका एयरफोर्स कैसे फंक्शन करेगा, वो कैसे एक्सरसाइज करेगा। तो ये सारी बातें क्या देशद्रोह नहीं है? कांग्रेस ने वोट बैंक की पॉलिटिक्स के लिए देश के साथ धोखा नहीं किया। मुझे लगता है कि भारत सरकार को इसके ऊपर जो है देशद्रोह का मुकदमा चालू करना चाहिए और कांग्रेस के ऊपर एफआईआर करना चाहिए।
11 साल में सत्ता में काबिज रहने के बाद, 90 से ज्यादा मुल्क घूमने के बाद, अपने आप को विश्व गुरु कहलवाने के बाद, ये कहलवाने के बाद कि वो वॉर रुकवा देते हैं, अंततोगत्वा जब विश्व को भारत की बात बतानी थी, जब विश्व को हमारे हिंदुस्तान की बात बतानी थी, तो मोदी जी को भी झुककर ऑपोजिशन को अपने साथ लेना पड़ा, विपक्ष को अपने साथ लेना पड़ा, और मिलजुल कर ये डेलीगेशन जा रही है। तो ये पूरी तरह से साबित होता है कि जो कूटनीति पिछले 11 सालों में हुई वो विफल रही। अगर आपको जाकर देशों को कांगो जैसे देश को हम बताने जा रहे हैं कि हमने क्या किया, अरे हिंदुस्तान है, हम अपनी संप्रभुता के लिए, अपने लोगों की रक्षा के लिए, अगर हमारे खिलाफ कोई आतंकी हमले करेगा हम उसके लिए एक्शन लेंगे। हमें क्यों बताना पड़ रहा है दुनिया को? दुनिया को क्या समझाना? और अगर दुनिया को समझा ही रहे तो पहले अपने देश को तो समझाइए, अपने विशेष सत्र को तो बुलाइए।
All right, so attacks continue to pour in, specifically from the grand old party, while most of the opposition has maintained a unified stance. With that, we're slipping into a quick break. Stay tuned to Nation at 5 as we return with the latest news and updates.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
From the United States, this is with regards to Donald Trump issuing a new threat to Apple, as President Trump has now said that Apple should face a minimum of 25% tariffs on iPhones made outside the United States. And clearly that's a direct threat to Apple's manufacturing plans in India, as we all know. And Donald Trump now coming up with a fresh threat of slapping 25% tariffs as far as iPhones made outside the US are concerned. Pallavi Ghosh joins me with more inputs on that news story. Pallavi, take us through what this could mean for Apple's plans in India.
Well, this would be certainly seen as a bit of a setback, because the entire idea of opening Apple plants over here is that you would get state-of-the-art iPhones which are manufactured in India, which that production has already begun, and which obviously, one, it also goes and shows the confidence of multinational companies into India and investing over here and opening shop over here. And second, there was a belief that it would also mean that products would become much cheaper. Now, recently when Donald Trump had told Tim Cook that you cannot open Apple plants in India, the government sources, Commerce Ministry sources, had also pointed out to say that politicians often don't dictate to the businessmen, and businessmen don't really need to listen to them. And India was very confident that, Tim Cook would not change his mind. Now, this latest comment coming in from the American president will certainly be seen as a setback. We'll have to wait to see if any structured response comes in from the government. But essentially what it would mean is that if an eye to buy a phone which is manufactured over here in India, it is going to end up being much more expensive, which is going to be seen as a investment.
So, Pallavi, what does this mean in the current, trade scenario where, remember, Apple is positioning India as an alternative to China, and we know how Donald Trump is currently threatened by China's manufacturing. But what does that mean for India, and does that also mean that one is now looking at higher iPhone rates? All right, we seem to have lost Pallavi, but as we were highlighting, Apple is, of course, positioning India as an alternative manufacturing base, and Donald Trump's tariffs on China have already raised supply chain concerns and fears of iPhone prices rising higher. And Pallavi is back with us. Let me take that with her. Pallavi, as we were saying, that Apple is one company that's positioning India as an alternative manufacturing base to China. What does that now mean in the overall calculus, the trade calculus? Does that mean that Donald Trump is also equating India with China?
You know what happened is that many of the Apple plants from China were shutting shop, and they were shifting the base into India or looking at India as an alternative market. And obviously, we were very comfortable with a lot of as far as the Indian conditions are concerned. And, we were obviously very upbeat about it. But now when you're looking at a situation where, despite the fact that our Commerce Minister is over there, he's expected to come back, there are backroom negotiations, the bilateral trade talks are taking place, and now you have 25%, which is a staggering amount of tariff which is being imposed. India would obviously want to negotiate that. I'm still awaiting some kind of a structured reaction to come in from the Commerce Ministry. But it's very clear that for the American president, when it comes to doing business, China and India, to a very great extent, are put on the same plane. However, sources over here have been maintaining that tariff on China has been much, much higher, and India, in fact, has been much more of a beneficiary as far as America's trade tariff policy.
And that's true, because India sees this as a strength. And remember, Apple and India go back many years ago now. And Apple has invested billions of dollars in India. And could this now mean another setback apart from the tariffs for India, which is currently in the interim negotiations for that bilateral trade agreement?
But I think when Apple had first opened shop over here, it also, as I said, it's working out to be much cheaper. For Indians, Apple manufactured in India obviously would have worked out to be much, much cheaper, which is why there was a lot of enthusiasm over it. And there have been figures which have been put out by the Finance Ministry. We also...
Welcome back. The Karnataka government's decision to appoint actor Tamannaah Bhatia as the brand ambassador for Mysore Sandal Soap has sparked a wave of backlash online as pro-Kannada groups have questioned why a non-Kannada actress was chosen over local talent. The two-year 6.2 crore deal, has divided opinions across online platforms. While some celebrate Tamannaah's appointment, others have argued that Kannada stars should have been given the opportunity instead of Tamannaah. On the other hand, Minister M.B. Patil has defended the move, calling it a strategic decision to expand the brand's reach beyond Karnataka. However, the Mysore royal family opposed Tamannaah Bhatia's appointment. Listen in to the reaction.
So we've seen KSDL making a turnaround from loss-making to profit-making. But this decision of signing Tamannaah Bhatia, we've seen certain murmurs and questions being raised on the logic behind it.
Let me tell you, this is nothing related to Kannada or disrespect to any Kannada actresses or Kannada people or organizations. It's a purely business strategy. As you know, KSDL was marred with controversies, corruption, scandal. Everything was this one. The chairman of KSDL was behind bars.
Yes.
He was in jail. So I took over as a minister, as industry minister. Under me, today we have taken this from 1,300 crores to 1,700 crores, a profit of 182 crores to whopping 400 crores. It's a prolonged strategy. It's a business strategy of taking this pan-India, this one to pan-India. The sales of Mysore Sandal Soap is 18% is the Karnataka share. Other 82% is from the rest of the country. So here we were not restricting this Mysore Sandal only to Karnataka. We were taking it to pan-India. After the prolonged strategy drawn, this appointing Tamannaah Bhatia was one of them. So we looked into various other actresses also, like Pooja Hegde, Rashmika Mandanna. They were engaged, Deepika Pudukone. All this they were engaged with. They are endorsed other products. They were not available for the next 2 years. You wanted for 2 years. And we went, the committee went through this one of a fan following of around 2.8 million followers. She has a pan-India appeal. So this is part of a pure business, this one.
All right, let's quickly go across to Harish. Harish, we heard what Mr. M.B. Patil has had to say, and of course the decision justifies what KSDL had to go through, the brand or the company behind the soap. But having said that, how is this now panning out in Karnataka? We can see visuals coming in of a protest also that had taken place earlier.
Well, at least this justification that's come in seems to have convinced sections of Kannada group. Karnataka Rakshana Vedike, which is the biggest one, hasn't hit the streets today protesting. Although one of the other minor Kannada groups did protest outside the KSDL office. But the government trying to convince them, saying that the interest of Karnataka and a company that signifies a major brand emerging out of Karnataka will be kept in mind, and decision has been made to ensure that brands can be taken national and global as well. And they are saying this was a purely business decision and it should be seen from that prism.
This is also a very research-backed and a very thoughtful decision, as has been highlighted by MB Patil as well. And why does he say so?
Well, MB Patil says that a committee went through multiple names. They looked at actors who've grown in Karnataka, who come from Karnataka and made big name nationally, whether it's Rashmika Mandanna, Pooja Hegde, various others, including Deepika Padukone. All of them have a link to Karnataka, but none of them were available because they were already brand ambassador for existing FMCG brands, and this would have been a direct conflict, so that wasn't possible. Tamannaah Bhatia, because of her social media appeal and the fact available to be brand ambassador for a good 2-year tenure, the government felt they could consolidate that brand appeal if somebody is available for 2 years, and that's the reason they've gone in for Tamannaah Bhatia. So the industries minister and the department saying that this is a business decision backed by solid facts and a lot of logic that's gone in.
Absolutely. The government very staunchly maintaining that this is in no means any disrespect to the Kannada identity or even the culture or even the film industry. Going to request you, Harish, continue to stay with us because our next story also requires your inputs. Before that, we also listen into another reaction.
But if you are taking a brand globally, I don't think the product needs to have value than the face. Nobody in the global scenario look at who is Tamannaah Bhatia to, promote this product. I'm sure the product has got that kind of a value. The product has got that kind of a demand. This whole thing of signing up some face by paying a huge amount of 6 crores odd as a royalty or a fees to come and be a face for this brand, it has got some scam involved, and I urge the government to withdraw this and make sure if you are promote the brand globally with the value of the product rather than splurging the taxpayers' money on these brand ambassadors and things like that.
This question will be in detailed answer can come from the concerned minister.
Sir, but what do you feel in general about the entire issue? Pro-Kannada activists are now complaining that why is the local actors not being
sometimes
appointed?
To catch the attention of the country, because we want the material to be marketed elsewhere also. Maybe that. And we are perhaps looking at more business.
To another big story coming in from Karnataka as the Enforcement Directorate raids on educational institutions linked to Karnataka's Home Minister G. Parmeshwara have finally concluded, and the raids are reportedly connected to allegations of financial links with actor Rania Rao, and accused in a gold smuggling case. Parmeshwara stated that ED officials visited his offices and questioned the accounts officer. Meanwhile, Karnataka's Deputy CM D.K. Shivkumar has offered a different perspective, suggesting that any financial transactions between Parmeshwara's trust and Rania Rao could be attributed to a gift given during a marriage. Union Minister Prahlad Joshi had made a sensational claim stating that one section of the Congress party complained against G. Parmeshwara. The Union Minister claimed that Siddaramaiah was aware of who the Congress leaders were who shared information about G. Parmeshwara and complained. Meanwhile, listen in to what D.K. Shivkumar has to say.
Rania Rao ED case, I just spoke to Dr. Parmeshwar. There was a marriage. See, we are in public life, we run institutions, so many run institutions. As a gesture to people who know, we may give a lot of gifts. We give gifts. We give 1 rupee, we give 10 rupees, we give 10 lakhs, 5 lakhs. I hope that he might have also given a gift for the marriage. I think there is nothing wrong in it. No minister or no politician will support the activities. Whatever the activities has done by that lady, it is a personal issue and it is wrong, and the law will take its own course. As far as Parmeshwar is concerned, who knows that we meet thousands of people every day. We doesn't know who does what. So the law will take its own course. We don't want to interfere with the law or the ED. But as for Parmeshwar, I just discussed with him. I met him this morning. I asked him what is the reality. He said that at the type of marriage he has given and he has gifted, quite natural.
Now, I don't know, I do not want to comment at this point of time. Let the investigation complete, and they will also have to give us a report. No? Yes. After that, I will react. Otherwise, I don't want to react unnecessarily.
ಈ ಪ್ರಕರಣದ ಅಂದರೆ ಬಂಗಾರವನ್ನೇ ಕಳ್ಳತನದಿಂದ ತರುವುದನ್ನು ಹಿಡಿದುಕೊಂಡು ಉಳಿದ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಕರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಸಿದಂಥ ಮತ್ತು ಉಳಿದೆಲ್ಲ ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಸಿದಂತೆ ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗೊಬ್ಬರು ಇಡಿ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಷನ್ ತಗೋರಿ ಅಂತ ಪತ್ರ ಬರೀತಾ ಇರೋರು ಯಾರು? ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ಸಿನ ಒಂದು ಗುಂಪು ಪರಮೇಶ್ವರ್ ಅವರ ಮೇಲೆ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನು ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾರೆ, ಮತ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡ್ರಾಮಾ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ನೀವು. ನಾನು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಯಸ್ತೇನೆ, ಪರಮೇಶ್ವರ್ ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮಗೆ ಗೌರವದ, ಅವರೊಬ್ಬ ಸಭ್ಯ ರಾಜಕಾರಣಿ. ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವರು ಹುಡುಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೆರ್ ಆರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ಸ್. ಇವರೇ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಎಲ್ಲ. ಯಾರು? ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ದವರೇ, ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ಸಿನ ಒಂದು ಗುಂಪಿನವರೇ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದು. ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯನವ್ರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತದ ಯಾರು ಕಳಿಸ್ಯಾರಂತ. ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತದ? ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯನವ್ರು ಕೇಳ್ರಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಅವ್ರ ಕಡೆ ಅದ. ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಡ್ರಾಮಾ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ನೀವು ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯನವರೇ.
Prahlad Joshi coming out and indicating that perhaps the ED raid on Mr. G. Parameshwara is infighting within the Congress. Many might also be happy with that.
So if Prahlad Joshi is part of the ED, he knows inside story of all ED, then ED, income tax, CBI, as we all telling, are part of BJP wings. And being Prahlad Joshi being one of a person part of the ED, let him disclose. Who is that person? Why shy away with that? Why? What hesitation you have? Disclose. You're challenging him. Disclose the name, and disclose the document. What documents have been given? Yeah. We challenge him. Why hit in the air? Don't try to create confusion. Let him look to his party here. His party has 20 divisions here. Totally it is shattered. Let him set his house into order. But Prahlad Joshi has proved once again that ED, CBI, BJP, this all are BJP's wings. He himself has proved. Let him disclose the names. We challenge him.
All right, so a fresh war of words has now broken over the mention or the claims being made by Prahlad Joshi over there with regards to the complaints within the Congress party as far as G. Parameshwara is concerned. Harish continues to stay with us. Harish, if you could give us a sense of understanding in terms of what are the claims being made by Prahlad Joshi?
Well, Prahlad Joshi and even in fact Union Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy indicating that people within the Congress government first gave information about the gold smuggling. Then later on, now they've given information to ED about G. Parameshwara's alleged transactions with Rania Rao. They are saying this is being done to scuttle Parameshwara's chances of becoming the chief minister. They are also giving a bit of a context. They are saying when Parameshwara wanted to have a convention of various Dalit communities, that was seen as Parameshwara asserting himself as a possible candidate to succeed Siddaramaiah, and they are saying it's indirectly hinting towards D.K. Shivakumar, saying that he could be that influential man in Congress who might have given out this information to the ED or the union government, leading to this raid, which would then scuttle chances of G. Parameshwara becoming the next chief minister. That's what Union Minister Prahlad Joshi and even H.D. Kumaraswamy have hinted.
Many thanks to you, Harish, for bringing us all those inputs and putting that entire story into context for us. With that, we're slipping into another quick break. Stay tuned to Nation at 5 as we bring you the latest news and updates.
This is News18 Network. India's largest news network.
From the United States, this is with regards to Donald Trump issuing a new threat to Apple, as President Trump has now said that Apple should face a minimum of 25% tariffs on iPhones made outside the United States. And clearly that's a direct threat to Apple's manufacturing plans in India, as we all know. And Donald Trump now coming up with a fresh threat of slapping 25% tariffs as far as iPhones made outside the US are concerned. Pallavi Ghosh joins me with more inputs on that news story. Pallavi, take us through what this could mean for Apple's plans in India.
Well, this would be certainly seen as a bit of a setback, because the entire idea of opening Apple plants over here is that you would get state-of-the-art iPhones which are manufactured in India, which their production has already begun, and which obviously, one, it also goes and shows the confidence of multinational companies into India and investing over here and opening shop over here. And second, there was a belief that it would also mean that products would become much, much cheaper. Now, recently when Donald Trump had told Tim Cook that you cannot open Apple plants in India, the government sources, Commerce Ministry sources, had also pointed out to say that politicians often don't dictate to the businessmen, and businessmen don't really need to listen to them. And India was very confident that, Tim Cook would not change his mind. Now, this latest comment coming in from the American president will certainly be seen as a setback. We'll have to wait to see if any structured response comes in from the government. But essentially what it would mean is that if you and I want to buy a phone which is manufactured over here in India, it is going to end up being much more expensive, which is going to be seen as the end of this investment.
So, Pallavi, what does this mean in the current, trade scenario where, remember, Apple is positioning India as an alternative to China, and we know how Donald Trump is currently threatened by China's manufacturing. But what does that mean for India, and does that also mean that one is now looking at higher iPhone rates? All right, we seem to have lost Pallavi, but as we were highlighting, Apple is, of course, positioning India as an alternative manufacturing base, and Donald Trump's tariffs on China have already raised supply chain concerns and fears of iPhone prices rising higher. And Pallavi is back with us. Let me take that with her. Pallavi, as we were saying, that Apple is one company that's positioning India as an alternative manufacturing base to China. What does that now mean in the overall calculus, the trade calculus? Does that mean that Donald Trump is also equating India with China?
You know what happened is that many of the Apple plants from China were shutting shop, and they were shifting the base into India or looking at India as an alternative market. And obviously, we were very comfortable of this. As the Indian conditions are concerned, and we were obviously very upbeat about it. But now, when you're looking at a situation where, despite the fact that our Commerce Minister is over there, he's expected to come back. There are backroom negotiations. The bilateral trade talks are taking place, and now you have 25%, which is a staggering amount of tariff which is being imposed. India would obviously want to negotiate that. I'm still awaiting some kind of a structured reaction to come in from the Commerce Ministry. But it's very clear that for the American president, when it comes to doing business, China and India, to a very great extent, are put on the same plane. However, sources over here have been maintaining that tariff on China has been much, much higher, and India, in fact, has been much more of a beneficiary as far as America's trade tariff policy.
And that's true, because India sees this as a strength. And remember, Apple and India go back many years ago now. And Apple has invested billions of dollars in India. And could this now mean another setback apart from the tariffs for India, which is currently in the interim negotiations for that bilateral trade agreement?
But I think when Apple had first opened shop over here, it also, as I said, it's working out to be much cheaper. For Indians, Apple manufactured in India obviously would have worked out to be much, much cheaper, which is why there was a lot of enthusiasm over it. And there have been figures which have been put out by the Finance Ministry. We also showed a surge in sales, and especially those iPhones being manufactured right over here in India. As I said, Akansha, it also reflected a deep confidence in India that we had the capability, the credibility, and the manpower talent to manufacture the highest standards of iPhones being manufactured by Apple. This is a setback because obviously, it also means that the iPhones will become much, much more expensive. Right. 25% is not a small amount.
This is News 18 Network.
Well, welcome back. We're getting in breaking inputs on the BSF Jawan who, remember, was taken into Pak custody weeks ago, and after spending 3 weeks in Pakistan Rangers custody, the BSF Jawan Poonam Kumar Shaw has finally returned home in Kolkata. A big joyous moment for not just his family but the entire state. Komalika joins me with more inputs. Komalika, this is also a moment of great pride for all our forces. Remember, especially the BSF, who had pushed all communication channels and organized those flag meetings with Park Rangers to ensure his speedy return.
Yeah, it's a big celebration day for Bengal. He arrived in Howrah station. He came by train, and you can see with the visuals that there was a huge happiness among the people out here. And from there he is going to his house in Hubli in Rishra, and the entire family is waiting for it. There has been special tirangas which has been the house has been decorated. He has only said that it is because of the blessings and because of the love of all the people that he has able to come back. That's what he has said. Though it's like a few days that he's back, and medical treatment and all these things are still more required. That's what we are coming to know. But it's a huge victory for the family members, obviously for India and for the people. BSF did everything. The government pulled up every point so that he can come back. So it's a big relief, and specifically his wife is pregnant. So his wife went to Pathankot to talk to the senior officers. She also fought a lot. So for all of them, today it's a happy day, and now he is on his way to Rishra Hubli in his house.
Komalika, going to request you to continue staying with us. Indeed, this is a joyous moment for the entire nation and especially the BSF as well. But let's bring you some more inputs coming in from Bangladesh, as Dhaka is rife with speculation that Chief Advisor Mohammad Yunus may resign soon. Sources say that Mohammad Yunus is displeased with staying in the government. Meanwhile, tensions have increased between Yunus and the army chief, who has criticized the government for excluding the military from key decisions. The army chief has stressed the need for an inclusive election, doubting the legitimacy of an unelected interim government. Sources also inform that Bangladesh army chief has stressed the urgent need for an inclusive, free and fair election, questioning how an unelected interim government could engage with powerful external actors and make major decisions without a public mandate. Komalika continues to stay with us. Komalika, take us through the fears that have not just been shared by Mohammad Yunus but also by the Bangladesh army chief, who is also fearing foreign intervention if elections are not held on time.
See, what we are coming to know from the Dhaka sources is that the main motive of the army chief was to restore normalcy and to have democracy there. Mohammad Yunus interim, he is an advisor to this interim government, but this government is not an elected government. So election is a priority. That was also told when things went changed and Sheikh Hasina was ousted.
True.
But from that point of time till today, there seems to be no attempt from Mohammad Yunus government to initiate for talks on elections and preparations for elections. That's why the army chief, he has set a deadline that till December, this thing should be clear, the election date should be declared, and the army will go back to barracks after conducting the election. Because it is not always possible for the army to look into the entire law and order situation, number one. Number two, it has been felt by the army chief, that's what we are getting it from our sources, that they are taking decisions, this interim government is taking certain decisions without keeping army in loop. And also the biggest thing is the humanitarian corridor.
True.
How can Yunus government take a decision when it's not an elected government? And fourth is the other parties like BNP and other parties. They are also opposing now Mohammad Yunus because number one, economy and other things have not fallen in place. Number two, now it is requirement that there should be election. Why is he delaying the election? That is what the question with the opposition is also raising. So entire pressure is on Yunus. And apart from that, Awami League is banned, and there also the movements are going on.
Many thanks to Komalika for bringing us all those latest inputs on that news story. And with that, let's now shift focus over to another Indian neighbor, and that is Pakistan. Spooked by India's decision to keep the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, Pakistan's military spokesperson has stooped to a new law and echoed hateful sentiments against Indians similar to those expressed by terrorist Hafiz Saeed in the past as well. Pakistan's military spokesperson has said that if India stops Pakistan's water, Pakistan will choke India's breath. Earlier, terrorist Hafiz Saeed had made a similar remark, openly threatening India, also testifying that the army is closely linked with Hafiz Saeed, given that he's parroted what Saeed said in the past. Meanwhile, a Pakistani senator has questioned his own government over Balochistan and blamed India for the bombing that took place recently, asking how is it even possible for India to penetrate so deeply inside Pakistani territory and carry out attacks. Punjab's Chief Minister Maryam Nawaz Sharif has also acknowledged the extent of damage inflicted on Pakistan by Operation Sindoor. Listen in.
सुन, अगर तू पानी बंद करेगा, इंशाअल्लाह हम तेरी सांस बंद करेंगे, इन दरियाओं में फिर खून बहेगा।
तुम हमारा पानी बंद कर दोगे, हम तुम्हारा सांस बंद कर देंगे।
मुझे सब ये समझ नहीं आ रहा है कि वाकया खुजदार में हुआ है और हम हिंदुस्तान को यहाँ पे डिस्कस कर रहे हैं। मुझे अपने इदारों को हम क्यों डिस्कस ना करें कि हमारे इदारे क्या कर रहे हैं। हमारे जो यहाँ पे फोर्सेस है बलूचिस्तान में, जिनको हमने इतने इख्तियारात दिए हैं, जो मुझे भी तलाशी कर सकता है, मेरे घर में भी बगैर पूछे घुस सकता है, हम उससे क्यों नहीं पूछते कि भाई आप क्या कर रहे हो वहाँ पे। ये हिंदुस्तान से तो ना कोई बम आता है मेरे ख्याल से, ना कोई बंदा आता है। बंदे तो हमारे वही के हैं। जिस तरह अभी ये रिसेंट वाक़यात गुजरे पाकिस्तान और हिंदुस्तान की लड़ाई का, जिसका हमने मजम्मत भी किया है, लेकिन किसी ने ये नहीं पूछा कि GHQ से 5 किलोमीटर चकलाला एयरबेस तक ये ड्रोन कैसे पहुंचा, ये धमाका कैसे हुआ, और अगर हमारे हदूद में ये यहाँ तक आ सकता है तो इसके लिए सर मुझे तो अफसोस है कि कम से कम इतनी बड़ी लड़ाई लड़ने के लिए जॉइंट सेशन होना चाहिए। जॉइंट सेशन की इजाज़त से फिर हमारे मुल्क को लड़ना चाहिए। जब यहाँ तक आपके हालात आ सकते हैं कि चकलाला एयरबेस पे बम गिर सकते हैं, तो हमें तो कम से कम इन चीज़ों का देखना। सर ये एक बड़ी सीरियस चीज़ें हैं, लेकिन हमारे लोग यहाँ आके सर उस चीज़ पे बात करते नहीं हैं, क्योंकि फिर कुछ लोग नाराज़ होते हैं।
जो कुछ 9 मई को हुआ और जो कुछ उससे पहले इंडिया ने 6 और 7 मई की शाम को हमला करके किया, उसमें ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं है, बल्कि शायद हमने ज़्यादा, हमारी उस सियासी जमात ने ज़्यादा नुकसान पहुंचाया पाकिस्तान को, क्योंकि जो काम दुश्मन बरसों में नहीं कर सका, दहाइयों में नहीं कर सका, वो हमने खुद अपने मुल्क का नुकसान कर दिया।
All right, shifting focus over to the world of cricket, as India's Test cricket enters a new era with Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli stepping away from red ball cricket. The search for the next Test captain has now reached its final stage. The Ajit Agarkar-led selection committee is set to announce India's squad for the high-stakes England tour on Saturday, along with the name of the new skipper. Vice captain Jasprit Bumrah is a top contender, with Shubman Gill, Rishabh Pant and KL Rahul also in the mix, with India on the brink of a major transition in whites. Speculation is running wild. Who will lead the team into this challenging 5-test series? Will experience prevail, or will fresh leadership take charge? The decision that shapes India's Test future is just moments away. Listen in.
When Op Sindoor was going on, and Bharat was bringing somebody to their knees in 90 hours, there were 2 double strikes that happened within the team also. 2 big stalwarts of the game, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, called time on their test career or their international test career. Were you aware this was going on, and how do you see this? Because that sets you back as a coach in terms of preparations for England.
See, I'll tell you one thing. I think when you start the game and when you want to finish it, it's a very individual decision. No one has the right, be it the coach, the selector, be it anyone in this country, has any right to tell someone when to retire and when not to retire. So it comes from within, and yes, we've got to be without 2 senior players, 2 really experienced players, and sometimes I believe that it's the opportunity for some other people to put their hand up and say, okay, I'm ready for it. So yes, it will be tough, but then there'll be people putting their hand up for sure, because this question was asked to me before Champions Trophy as well, when Jasprit Bumrah wasn't there, and I said exactly the same thing. Someone missing out might give another person an opportunity to do something special for the country. Hopefully there'll be other guys waiting for that opportunity.
How was it for you? Was it those 3 consecutive ducks that switched it off for you, that you said, it's time for me to call time on my career?
Yes, I got 3 ducks in 2014 and we ended up winning IPL. And I got 4 half centuries in a row after that as well. So that's the kind of profession we come from. That every time, every day, you've got a success or a failure. It's not like our graph goes like this, it goes like this. And that's why it's always exciting to be living on the edge, that living with uncertainty. So as I mentioned, that retirement, when it's time for you to go, is something which is not only about scoring runs, it's not only about how you're batting, it's not only about where your future lies, it's also about how much fire is there inside you, whether you've got the motivation tomorrow to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and try and be the best you can. There are so many different things that goes inside a human mind and in a sportsman's life, which probably makes him take that decision. And that's the reason why I say that retirement is a very, very individual decision.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. As many as 7 multi-party delegations from India are visiting 32 countries to be precise. Their agenda, just one: expose Pakistan's true face before the world. Now, Pakistan's complex web of terror networks is a reality the world is fully aware of. It's a reality that hasn't stung it for a while, and therefore they turn a blind eye to it. Not to forget, any chance to keep India in check is a chance global powers don't like to miss.